bicycle. Thought there was supposed to be 3 until I was like 14 years old. I was convinced cheese grew on bushes till 12 to 13 years old. My brother is really proud of this. He should be, that's genius. That my cat didn't go back to the pet store when it was sick. I had even heard all the jokes about pets going to the farm. Still didn't strike me till way too late. When I was in 2nd grade, my hamster died. I wanted to hold a funeral, naturally. Mom insisted on sending him off for an autopsy first. We watched a lot of medical shows, so I was super understanding of why this was necessary. Since the closest facility for hamster autopsies was quite far away, she would send him out, and they would bury him for me, since the return shipping would be traumatic to his poor little hamster remains. After about 6 months of waiting for the autopsy report to come in the mail, I insisted she call and check back in. She said they were working on the report. These things just take time. In 10th grade it hit me. Riding a bicycle. I learned it at 18. My parents believed in an astrologer who told them that I would have a terrible accident when I drive or ride. So I had to learn bicycle secretly from a friend. Edit, I did get into an accident, but who doesn't? I love my parents, and I'm super happy with my childhood. This is the only thing I had to keep up with. Now they see the logic and risk associated with the things I do, and always support me. I'm in gym. Pickles are pickled cucumbers. Look me over 30 years to figure that one out. Cucumbers are just pre-pickles, like grapes are pre-raisins. What it meant to have your car tires rotated. There was that 70s show joke where Ed asked Eric if he rotated the tires, to which he responded, "Don't they rotate every time I drive?" And I legit did not understand why that wasn't a reasonable answer. I was circumcised. I never knew I was circumcised until I went to the pediatrician and my mom told the pediatrician that I was circumcised. Pregnant with our first son, and I told my husband I didn't want him circumcised. I had to explain to my husband what it was. I thought Gwen Stefani's name was Gwen Stefani until I was like 20 lol. When I was a server at my first job I had no knowledge of alcoholic drinks. So when a customer asked for a drink I just remember what they say and repeat it to the bartender. I got a pretty disappointed look when asked the bartender what's in a Ryan Coke. That the ribs my siblings and I ate as kids were not from Velociraptors. My dad and mom had always called them Velociraptor ribs for some reason, and I guess we just figured our dad was so big and awesome that it made sense that he would often go out and kill dinosaurs for us to eat. I don't think I found out until I was in junior high that they were just regular ribs. The proper way to say mythology. It was my favorite subject and I talked about it all the time. And not one person told me it wasn't mythology. Found out when my teacher corrected something I read out loud in English class as a senior in HS. I still cringe. Never make fun of someone if they mispronounce the word. It means they learned it by reading. That IHOP is the International House of Pancakes. I never made the connection that they were the same thing. So until recently I thought the International House of Pancakes was like a Hall of Fame type museum restaurant for pancakes. That not every woman who's nice to me is interested in me, they're just being friendly. Wished someone made that clearer when I was younger. Would have saved me a lot of embarrassment and stupid moments in high school and early college. Yes, me too lost on so much casual interaction with women I met, because in the back of mind always thought they were interested and tried to impress them every second. I regret doing this and losing out on very good friendships. That my mom pronounces bagels as beagles on purpose to mess with me. English is her second language, so I just always assumed that she didn't know the right pronunciation. I was in my late 20s before I realized it. I should have known. It's definitely something she would do. That you can actually perform maintenance on a lawnmower, that is oil changes, and not just but a new one every few years. I moved a lot growing up, and as a result we didn't always hang on to larger appliances, so I was like 21 before I learned lawnmowers aren't basically disposable. It's hard to explain this one and I can't Google it to find pictures. Everyone has bought a tube of cream at some point, antiseptic / steroid / eczema, for example. On some of these creams, have you noticed that the lid is circular, but in the center of the lid it has a sharp pointy end? Typically, these tubes of cream have a seal and I used to remove the lid and break the seal by finding anything sharp and pointy nearby, pen maybe. It took my 23 years to realize that the pointy end in the center of the lid has a purpose. That instead of unbuttoning and undoing my belt to pee I can just use the zipper. About 10th grade. Single mother didn't tell me and probably didn't think about it. I learned it from a friend who asked what are you doing when we were peeing outside one day. Sports fan growing up. I'm huge into hockey. I'm from South Jersey, so Geo Flyers. We played the Washington Capitals often enough, and I never knew how they used to do the home-at-home series, because they'd have to fly across the country in a day. Also had a cousin from Virginia that liked the Capitals. Couldn't figure out why. Yeah, all those Washington sports teams are from DC, not the state. Okay, so great timing. I'm only 16, but I've heard the word dimples for quite a while, but I never knew what they actually were. Today when I was next to my mate, we were going through my baby pictures, and he said how I used to have dimples. I confessed and said I don't actually know what they are, and haven't known for years, but I know it's got something to do with someone's cheeks. Want to know what she told me? Nothing. She stared at me then went back to the pictures. That was the end of that conversation. Thought an orgasm and an organism were the same thing. Gave an entire speech to my class at 13 years old first month at a new school about how I wanted to be a marine biologist and work with marine organisms. Everyone was laughing, and I didn't know why. The teacher didn't say anything, just laughed along as well. A girl I'd just made friends with had to fill me in after class. Turns out, they are definitely not the same thing. When Tails was introduced in Sonic 2, I thought it was cute that his real name was Miles per Hour and his nickname was Tails. 25 years later, I was thinking about it and said to myself, Miles per Hour, Miles per Hour, oh my god. I just never connected the dots before. Up until I was about 11 I was convinced that I lived in the USA. Honestly, I'm not really that embarrassed by it. Growing up I was bombarded with US TV, film, movies. I went on holiday to Florida regularly. I spoke English. I didn't know the difference between England and New England. And to top it all off, as a kid coming from the northeast of England I fully thought I lived between Washington, D.C. and New York. I went to York loads as a kid, but it never clicked that I never saw the wall or castle on the TV and there was a distinct lack of skyscrapers. It never clicked until I actually went to New York at about 11, and it took an 8-hour airplane ride rather than an hour's drive. I was ducking dumb as a kid, still am tbh. Edit. Just ask my mom about this, and she says I found out when I was 11 not 15. When I was 20, I was presented with a really wonderful promotion. It required me to fly to a nearby state for a week of training. I was super ecstatic about the whole thing until I remembered a friend of mine complaining about her struggles with getting a passport. So, I promptly declined the promotion. My superiors were really stumped as to why I turned down the promotion. Me, unfortunately, I don't have a passport. Manager, boring Barry, you've never flown before, have you? Me, no, I have not. Manager, you don't need